Now, floods and landslides have wreaked havoc across Kenya, claiming 181 lives since March and forcing hundreds of thousands to flee their homes. The toll has surpassed that of last year's floods, which were triggered by the El Niño weather phenomenon. In Mai Mahiu, where 48 people died in flash floods, rescue efforts are continuing with military personnel and sniffer dogs aiding in the search. Roads and infrastructure have been severely affected, with sections of highways closed. Head of the Roman Catholic Church, Pope Francis, has expressed sympathy, while the United States is contributing to response efforts.
For example, this is her relative in Mumbai's child's jacket, that's her mattress, that there is her broken bed, that was her roof, and over there we can see some materials that belong to her. That is why we suspect that she is buried here. We are here because we still suspect the body is somewhere here, and we have not received any help yet. So, we are asking for help from the government or any kind of help so that we may find the bodies of our loved ones. We are very unsettled. It's even difficult to sit at home with all these distressful thoughts about our loved ones. The reason we decided to narrow our search here is because a lot of her belongings are strewn here. Her house was more than a kilometer away, but we collected most of her belongings here. This same place, her husband was rescued here, so we are almost certain that and Mumbai's remains must be around here.
We have been searching with our bare hands unsuccessfully, but the smell concentrated around here makes us believe that she may be buried underneath here somewhere. She lived up there, not far away, so with the smell, so we are almost certain.
Well, Arise News East Africa correspondent Mark Bichachi links up with us now to discuss the deadly flooding in Kenya and what President William Ruto is doing to address the incident. Good to have you with us, Mark. So how is Kenya coping with the flash floods currently, and what are the underlying factors that led to this unfortunate scenario?
Kenya is trying its best by deploying various paramilitary and military personnel to help out in the recovery effort in Mai Mahiu and many other places. Also, the Kenyan Red Cross has been rescuing people across the city of Nairobi in slums and within other city blocks and streets that have been choked up with flooding water. Now, the underlying factors are, number one, that much of the Nairobi city has problems with drainage, and the drainage does get blocked. And interestingly enough, it's the same issue with the Mai Mahiu tragedy that has now confirmed 51 people dead. That being that there was a railway culvert, a big culvert that many people used to refer to as a dark tunnel, that actually was blocked by debris from landslides and then became dam-like in terms of holding back the water. And when it couldn't, that's when the flash flood happened. So it is a combination of natural issues as well as other issues within the city in terms of blockages in our drainage and people constructing in places where they shouldn't. But overall, the government of Kenya is trying its best to make sure it rescues as many people as possible. It has issued directives for the blockage of certain roads. It has closed schools until Monday next week. That is likely to be postponed again. And then also, it has also sought aid from the international community in order to be able to meet the demands of this particular disaster.
Thank you so much for that, Mark. Now let's talk a little bit about Masai Mara. I know we focused on the urban areas, but Masai Mara, is such a significant tourist destination, tourist hub for the Kenyan economy. Now, I know it's definitely way too early for us to be able to put numbers and know what the value of economic loss could be. But could you just give us an idea of the economic impact in places such as Masai Mara, of course, and in Nairobi as well? How much has been lost in your outlook so far in terms of economic activity?
Well, in the Masai Mara, if I was to begin there has been flooding in the town of Talek. Now, Talek is an important town because it is an entry point into the Masai Mara. It has hosts a number of lodges that actually host a number of visitors, both local and international, who are trying to get into the Masai Mara. So that particular revenue has been stopped. But as well, in the city, we've had issues with the airport, which has been under construction already, but now with leakages and flooding being reported, the minister has stated that he's stepping up efforts to ensure that the airport is ready for transportation. We have also a number of dams and roads that have been swept away. The railway at Mahiu, the railway connecting Nairobi to Kisumu via the standard gauge railway, has actually, the railway broke and it will take up to 3 months to repair that. So we are talking about tens of millions of dollars at the very least in damage being experienced across the country. That's just counting the government infrastructure. We've not gone into the personal losses of people in terms of houses, livestock, and lives lost in this particular tragedy, ranging from Western Kenya all the way to Tana River and all the way up north counties such as Garissa and Moyale, which have seen flooding, have seen blockages of logistical infrastructure, and have seen the cessation of distribution of resources that are needed. Foodstuffs and things like that are not reaching certain parts of Garissa, and these are the problems that the government is trying to sort out.
Good, Mark. Now, President Ruto has been seen going around to see the scale of the disaster for himself recently. But beyond that, is there a plan of action to ease the people's suffering? Is he getting any form of international help at this rate?
Well, the United States has stated that it is helping Kenya. There are many countries that have pledged as well. Unfortunately, many of our neighboring countries are suffering a similar fate by way of Tanzania and Burundi, which have lost dozens of people themselves. But we are receiving prompts from many nations saying that they stand with Kenya. The Pope himself has said that he spiritually stands with Kenya as well. But the main thing is that the government does have a contingency fund, and it is tapping into that to ensure that Kenyans receive aid. There was a cabinet meeting early yesterday, to ensure that there is an all-of-government approach. The president has deployed the Kenya Defense Forces to actually help in the search and rescue operations. We also expect in coming days that they will also put down boots to be able to repair some of this infrastructure in order to restore normalcy in terms of transportation. So the president has instructed his ministers to ensure that they do hit the ground running, and they do ensure that Kenyans do get the help they need.
Now, still talking about President William Ruto, of course, in his Workers' Day address yesterday, he sort of dashed hopes for the health sector. Of course, we know the health sector will play a critical role in managing this crisis, but no increase for the salaries of... Have you lost audio? All right. Unfortunately, it looks like Mark Bichachi can no longer hear us, but we have been discussing the situation currently in Kenya as the nation grapples with flooding. That was our East African correspondent, Mark Bichachi.